Hello, and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing our brand new mini set, I Like You aLotl, and its coordinating dies. This set features the aLotl, and if you've never seen one before, this is what they look like. They're cool little salamanders that are native to lakes in Mexico, and these guys are so cute. I just love them, so we're going to go ahead and stamp him out. The aLotl also has these cute little bubbles and then some little like watergrass seaweed that you can go ahead and stamp around him to create the scene, and this cute little extra heart, which is really sweet. There's a buildable sentiment, so there's thanks and I like you, and then aLotl in parentheses, and it just cracks me up since the name of the animal is aLotl, so thanks aLotl or I like you aLotl. Now these little guys, you can see in the picture below, kind of have this pinky reddish color to them. But what I really like about them is that you could really color them in any color because they are such a unique, cool animal. I think it's kind of fun to do something unique. And you'll see when Shari makes her card, she colors it in purple, which is really adorable. But this combination of Copic markers I thought really looked a lot like him. I liked looking at a picture of a real one and trying to pick out markers that would look perfect to go along with him. Now that he's all colored in and his accessories are as well, we're going to take our coordinating dies, and you can bend those apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate them. We're going to take that die and line it up with our stamped image, and then we're going to hold it in place with some low-tack tape. I'm using some post-it note tape here. We'll run it through the die cut machine, and we'll have a perfectly cut out image that's ready to put on a card, and I just can't take how adorable this little guy is. And now the amazing Shari is going to take it away and make a really cute card with him.
So for my card, I'm going to start out with my little aLotl, which I've already colored in some fun purple colors. And then I'm going to stamp out the bubbles using peacock ink on white cardstock. And then I'm going to stamp out the little seaweed using jalapeno ink on some cilantro cardstock. So I'm just going to stamp out 3 of these, and I'm only going to use one of the bubbles that I stamped. And then I'll take the coordinating dies that go with these and cut them out. For the frame of my little scene that I'm going to create here, I'm actually going to use one of the porthole frames. I'm using that medium-sized one, and I've cut that from some narwhal cardstock, and that's going to frame up my little scene that I'm creating. So it's almost like we're looking through the window at the little aLotl outside. I've also taken some apricot cardstock and cut it with a stitch rectangle, and that's going to be my panel that everything goes on. I've got the second largest outside in circle die, and I'm cutting that out of some mermaid cardstock. You can see how that is the same size as my porthole frame. But since this is a outside in circle, I thought it would be fun to also cut this circle out of this card panel that's cut from the apricot cardstock. So you get that stitching detail on the outside of the frame as well. So I'm just going to center this up in my panel where I want it. So I'll run that through my die cut machine, and you can see there that that circle opening has that stitching detail. This mermaid circle that I cut will fit right inside with the porthole frame layered, and then you get that fun stitching detail on the outside of the frame as well. I'm using that same circle to cut a piece of brown cardstock, and then I'm going to take one of the simple stitched hillsides to cut the bottom of this like it's sand. So just give it a little bit of an arc to it. I'm going to layer my frame on top just to see where it is and put my aLotl on there so I have a placement and I know where to cut the top of the little sand hill that I'm making. So I'm just going to hold that in place with some tape, run that through the die cut machine, and now I can just glue this to the bottom of this circle. I'm going to go ahead and put this apricot panel onto my card base. My card base is made from kraft cardstock, so the frame around this apricot panel is going to be that brown kraft color. So I'm just going to center that up. And then I'll set that aside, and I'm going to finish the scene on my little porthole frame before I put it on the card base. So I'm just going to add my little aLotl with some foam squares, so he's popped up a little bit. Then I'm going to add the frame, and I'm just putting some dots of glue between all the little holes that this die cuts so that I don't have any glue squishing out the little hole. And I'm lining mine up to where I have a hole at the top and the bottom. So now to add all my little decorative environment elements, these are the little seaweeds that I stamped on the cilantro cardstock. And this is just a fun way to add color without having to color. So I feel like these are much more green than if I had stamped them in black and colored them green. And it also makes our image of the axolotl stand out because it's stamped in black. And then I'm going to add the little bubbles up top. And I like the look of these sort of overlapping the frame, like they're coming out towards you. Now I've got some foam tape on the back, and I'm going to center that up in that circle that I cut. So it's not really inlaying in the circle. I've popped it up to give it some dimension, but you still get that nice stitching detail around the outside of the circle. So for the sentiment, I'm going to use this fancy wavy banner. This one has the stitching detail. I've cut it from Guava Cardstock. I'm flipping it over, so right now we're looking at the back side. And I'm going to lay my clear block on top, and this will allow me to line up my sentiment that says, I like you, aLotl, and curve it to the curve of the banner. So because I'm mounting the stamp backwards, that's why I flipped my banner, and then when I flip my stamp over and flip my banner over, everything will line up perfectly. So I can flip my banner over, and you can see that when I stamp down, it's going to match the curve of the banner. So I'm just going to do some white embossing on this so that that sentiment is nice and white. So I added some anti-static powder to keep the embossing powder from sticking to anything but the ink. I'm stamping it with some clear embossing ink, adding some white embossing powder, and then I'll just heat that up with my heat tool till it's all melted and bright white. So I'm just going to put some foam squares on the back of this as well so that this is popped up just like our little circle here. I'm going to line that up towards the bottom of the card below that porthole. And then I decided to add a few of the little hearts that's in the set using some Peachy Keen ink on that apricot background. And then finally, to finish it off, I'm going in with some Stardust stickles. I've added some glitter to those little hearts, and I'm also adding some glitter to the seaweed leaves. And then I'll add some to the bubbles as well. And I added some to those little gills that come out on the side of the axolotl. I don't know if that's really what it's called or not. And then I've added some brown dots to the sand just to give it some texture. And here is my finished card, and I just think he is so adorable and cute.
Thank you so much for sharing how to make this adorable card, Shari. I love how you stamped the little seaweed on green cardstock. I think it looks really, really cool, and it's quick and easy to do too. And now here we have some gorgeous cards by the design team. So this card by Elise is so sweet, and I absolutely adore the background she created for the axolotls. Here I love how Yainea created a really cool scene in a strip on the card that's so cool, and I can't wait to try it myself. I love how Audrey used watercolor to create this scene and how it blends out into the white of the card, just looks beautiful. Mindy's card is so cute. I love how she ink blended in the center, and that scalloped border is just adorable with the axolotl. Here I love how Elena used our 4-square backdrop to create her scene, so beautiful, and I love how she mixed and matched it with other ocean sets. Grace die cut the Build an Aquarium die out of some of the holographic cardstock to create a really cute home for these axolotls, and I just love this card with that cute heart backdrop. Megan got really creative and used the Magic Iris snow globe, but in this really cool ocean underwater scene, and I love how the little axolotl appears once you pull that tab of the Magic Iris. This card here is so adorable by Tammy. I love that she used the conversation heart backdrop, but without the words, just to create a really cool heart backdrop for her adorable scene. And this card by Kara is so sweet. I love that beautiful background she created for the aLotl. So we can't wait to see what you guys create with this adorable little mini set, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!